I was really astonished to find that a young conscientious officer in South Sudan, government officer, I mean, he was jailed because he couldn't pay the bride price of his bride whom he loved very much. How could that be? I mean, does this happen that you cannot pay the bride price and therefore you are jailed?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, South Sudan is a newly established country in Africa. It's landlocked, and it is one of the newest. It is the newest country in the world. People there are divided into tribes: the Nuer tribe, the Dinka tribe. Now, their custom is that when a man marries his bride, he is expected to pay to the bride's father the cost of bringing up the bride that has been incurred by the father and in educating her. This amount is negotiated prior to the wedding, and it is an accepted social custom. It's a custom that has been handed down from Sudan, and it is a prevalent custom in many parts of the Middle East. Now, in this case, if the amount agreed to is not deposited in time, then the bride's family can lodge a complaint which can have serious complications and can result in arrest. This is what happened in this case. And we were fortunate, I was fortunate to be able to help the groom's uncle raise the funds. The bride price is usually paid in heads of cattle, sometimes in cash. But that is what the custom is in South Sudan.
In the landlady, I find that a wealthy landlady in Jordan regains a second husband, an Iraqi dentist. Yes. And she is fulfilled and happy to regain her second husband. And she behaves highly like a liberated woman, but she is an Arab in the Middle East. How can that be? Is there any dichotomy between this?
Not really. This is set in Amman, Jordan, which is an affluent kingdom, the Hashemite kingdom of Jordan. It is close to the River Jordan, the West Bank. Now, here is a case in which her husband is accused of a transgression. And she behaves in a very liberated way, like any liberated person would behave under the circumstances. But it was later proved that the transgression was not serious. And therefore, she took back her second husband, the Iraqi dentist. The Iraqi dentist had nowhere to go because this was in the middle of the US-Iraq war and there was no travel allowed. Well, basically because the landlady was an affluent person. Now, when you are affluent, then these things are not so strictly applicable. That is why she was able to behave so much like a very liberated person anywhere in the world.
I also find that you also had a premonition when you went to Kalahari Desert and as a visitor, and you were pursued by a strong premonition. My question is premonition a feeling of death, the equivalent of an evil spirit?
Absolutely, they say. Now, this is the story of a person out in the Kalahari Desert by himself, looking for black-maned Kalahari lions and other animals. He spends the day going right around the place, but he is pursued by a strong premonition, a feeling of dread, as if something dreadful is going to happen at any time. Now, they say in Africa that such premonitions are actually demons that they are chasing you. Africa is a very old continent, and there are many, many forces at play. Many of them are not comprehensible. So this person was chased by this premonition of death. He did not give it too much importance because he was an outsider, and he took risks which he should never have taken to go and look for lions. He could have been killed. But later they told me that he did not get killed, basically because he was good at heart. This is what the Africans say. Now, let me tell you about another similar incident which I experienced. I went to see eagles flying off a cliff in a place called Otse in Botswana. In the cliff. And then when we were coming back, we learned about a rock which had special powers, a rock. So we asked, where was this rock? And we were shown where the rock was. They told me that it is covered by a perimeter fencing, and there is a gate which is open. But they also told me, don't go inside the gate. Just take a look at the rock and carry on. But my friend and I decided to go inside. The moment we entered, I felt a force hitting me, saying, go away, go away, go away immediately. It was so strong that we had to turn the car around immediately and leave. Once we were on the road, there was nothing. It's peaceful. So these things happen in Africa. As I said, it's very ancient. It's an ancient continent. We fully understood.
We find that a king in the hill tracts of Bangladesh prefers to give up his kingdom and live in exile rather than break the word he had given to a defeated government. One would say that this is carrying things too far. Well, what do you say? Is there a local connection? Is there a local connection to this story?
I agree with you totally. This is carrying things too far. Now, we give our words to people to do this, promise to do that. But if events overtake us and unexpected outcomes are there, we always try to adjust. Everybody understands. Everybody understands. But then here is a person gave his word to support a government which lost an election and left. He did not withdraw his support. He continued to support the government by going on in exile and leaving his kingdom. Now, this is quite unique, I should think. It's not called for, but he did that. I think there is another example of such a thing happening anywhere. Now, this is a level of integrity that can rarely be matched. I don't think it is there anywhere. So, could he have avoided it? Absolutely. He was in good terms with the other side as well. And with a little bit of tact, little passage of time, he could easily have done nothing about it. Now, he did it. Is there a local connection? Absolutely. The local connection is very strong. This king who went into exile, leaving his kingdom, is the great grandson of Brahmananda Keshav Chandra Sen. His aunt was the Maharani Gayatri Devi of Jaipur. So with lineage like that, I suppose this is the level of integrity you are expected to demonstrate. And this king was the first cousin of my friend in school and in college. So that's how strong the local connection is.
Well, I was also, taken aback by seeing that in the Housewife, the misadventure of a housewife, led to almost cost the life of a lady. But she survives and brings her family together. Why did she go for this misadventure?
We all know that the actions of our leaders impinge drastically on our lives. Now, President Robert Mugabe felt that the large tracts of land that were in the possession of Europeans in Zimbabwe needed to be taken back and redistributed to the locals. Now, such an exercise was unthinkable and is unthinkable in Africa. And the Western powers decided to decimate Robert Mugabe. Now, in the process, the country suffered economically. And this young housewife, upper middle class, found herself without food on the table, not able to pay for her daughter's school fees. Her husband was in South Africa without a job. So she decided to earn money by going to a different country, which was a very risky venture. But she did it without bitterness or rancor. And she brought her family together through her courage. Now, this is the story of her grit and determination.
We also find some emotional and psychological link between the gorilla and human beings. In your story, The Gorilla, where we find that the massive silverback in the Virunga Mountains near the Congo laughs at visitors like a human and develops emotional links with the trackers. Can animals do such things? Dr.
Yes, indeed. You see, a silverback is a male gorilla who's the head of the family. They live in the rainforests of the Congo at the border of Uganda, Rwanda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, he is used to seeing visitors come every now and then to see him and his family and take photographs. But on this particular day, a young male gorilla in his family, in an act of bravado, decided to run past the visitors, brushing past the people standing there. It brushed past my trousers. And it also brushed past an American family standing next to me. This sent the woman into hysterics. She was petrified and she started weeping. Now she was quickly taken away. And the male gorilla, the massive silverback, weighing perhaps over 220 kilograms, looked at all this, threw his head back and laughed, just like a man would laugh in a bar or a man would laugh sitting in a charpai. Now, we saw that. They say that working with gorillas makes you forget that they are animals. They have personalities and you learn to respect them for their dignity. Gorillas and human beings, DNAs are 80% in common. 7 million years ago, they started from the same source and branched out. Now, if you look at the trackers who look after the gorillas in the rainforest, they are also something like, a little bit like the gorillas. So this is a story of that gray area in the rainforest of the Congo, where the animal practically meets the man and the man practically meets the animal.